guys, how are you all doing? Grüße aus Deutschland, greetings from Germany. It's Tuesday evening, and I wanted to do a little story time for you because something came up this week. So, Monday after work, I was taking the bus with a colleague from Hong Kong, from China. I've talked to her several times before, and the last time I saw her is when we got our COVID booster shot at work. And we had to wait outside for about 15 minutes to make sure we didn't have any reaction to it. And we were talking about smoking and vaping and quitting smoking then. But I had not seen her since then because she's been in home office. And so Monday after work, we were waiting at the bus stop and then took the bus together and talked the entire time. And we were talking about how tired we are. And she said she's gonna have coffee when she gets home because it doesn't keep her from falling asleep. And I told her that it doesn't keep me from falling asleep either, but that I have weird dreams, like surreal and real dreams, or weird things happen. So, and that's when it hit me, and I told her the story. When I was in Virginia, I had coffee one evening. I had coffee frequently because I was so tired. I was a single parent for the most part, and I worked full time. And so I had coffee one evening. I went to bed a little while later. All of a sudden, I started feeling myself lifting out of my own body. It was not my body moving. It was my consciousness lifting out of my body. I went through the ceiling of the cottage that we lived in, and I saw everything in great detail, everything around me. And I went through the roof of the cottage, and it was like kind of slow. It wasn't like scaringly fast. And I looked down at the roof of the cottage, and I saw my car parked next to it. I believe it was like in the moonlight. And I was thinking, I'm scared. I want to go back down. And I instantly did. It wasn't like something was doing it to me. It was like me doing it, but subconsciously, I don't know. Shortly thereafter, I felt myself lifting out of my body. Again, it wasn't but a few seconds later. This time I went up much higher. I went through the roof of the cottage again. I saw my car parked next to the cottage again. And the cottage started looking so small that I could barely make it out anymore. And I kept, lifting higher and higher. Since I knew that my daughter was down there all by herself, and I saw the dark woods around the cottage, I mean, there was just acres and acres of nature, and there were no streetlights because we lived so far out in the country that I was thinking to myself, okay, I'm done. This is insane. Because number one, I'm not going to find my way back to that cottage. Plus, my daughter is down there. This is just insane. This is just irresponsible. And so I told my Chinese colleague about that. And she said that, and the entire time her jaw dropped. And she said that she's heard of out-of-body experiences before, but that she's never had one. But something so strange happened to her a few weeks back in Italy. She was on a vacation down there. Italy is like 2 countries down from Germany. And this summer has been one of the hottest globally. You can look it up. And Italy was having abnormally high temperatures too. One day, when it was around 45 degrees Celsius or 113 Fahrenheit, she passed out while she was out with friends. There was no ahead warning. She just felt extremely hot. And she can't remember if she was dehydrated, but she passed out. She felt like she was she instantly felt like she was on a planet that seemed like a good version of planet Earth, not the evil version. I know this is strange, but this is how she said it. And everybody was being nice and helping each other, and the color seemed so much more intense, so much, not just brighter, but more, everything seemed more colorful. There was no bad energy, there was no competition, and she really felt at home there. All of a sudden she felt something really cold on her temple, and she woke back up. And so she was no longer passed out. and her friends had put an ice cube on her temple to cool her down, and it worked. But she said she's never seen anything so beautiful. The same planet like we're on right now, only the good version. No hate, no arguments, no fights. And that is so strange, because when she told me that, I remembered that weeks after I got back from the States in early 2018, I woke up from a very realistic dream where everything seemed like on Earth. Same thing, like same landscapes, but there was no ill will, no greed, no competition, no wars, no fights. Nobody wanted to, pull a fast one on you. And it felt super real and more like home than this life here does. And when my alarm came on for me to, get ready to go to work, I instantly had the thought, oh no, this is that bad version of Earth again. It was so strange, and I was so disappointed that I have to go to work where, all these people are that are depressed about money or worried about money and all these negative emotions that are here but are not or were not on that other version of Earth. But that other Earth felt so much more like the real thing. It felt more intense and more lively than this life does. And so, with me watching a lot of the Y-Files and stuff like that about this being an illusion, like life is a dream or it's computer generated by whoever, I don't know. But it would make sense why that other life felt so real to me. And it felt more natural because I really have, and I've been having problems, I mean, since childhood, with the feeling of competition on this planet and all the wars that never want to end. And, and so that was surreal. And yet it felt more real than this life does. And what I mean by that is actually that I do not understand, and I never did, why there's so much competitive thinking on this planet, why there's so much greed, and why there are so many people lying to get the money of others. I never understood that. It always seemed like strange concepts to me. Or when somebody doesn't want to give you their things or their country, you use force to take it from them. And I always thought, wow, how can people be so cold-blooded? I don't get it. Or in school when they try to play us against each other, like, hey, we're number one. No, we're number one. And I don't get it. We can all, get along and live in peace together. I don't get all the scurrying and the negative emotions on this planet. I never did. And now that I'm older, it's becoming clearer to me why that is, because it's unnatural to constantly be in competition with other people. And, that's the struggle for money that so many feel. Because they're still buying into so many concepts on this planet, like, oh, I gotta have a great car, otherwise my neighbors are not gonna respect me. I never cared about any of that, never did. And I remember working for the DMV in my hometown, and my colleagues were actually making fun of me for what I was driving. I was driving an older car. I put stickers on it that were funny, and I was fine with that. I used it as transportation from point A to point B. But they were like, hey, if a bird took a crap on your car, it would be total. And I said, yeah, I just drive your fancy schmancy cars, and if that makes you happy, just don't hate on mine just because it's cooler than yours. And I played it off, but I was wondering why they felt the need to act like that, right? I mean, it didn't get to me or anything. And I experience similar things now at work. Not that they're making fun of each other, but that they're sincerely worried about losing all the stuff that they have accumulated, like cars, like Tesla or e-cars. that they're still paying off. And so, of course, they panic whenever executive leadership team comes from the States and they might get fired, you know. I get it, but I'm not attached to these things anymore. And I never was. I don't know if any of you can relate to that. I just wanted to share it with you. And I've often wondered if that out of body experience and that dream of the good version of Earth was me actually dying in my sleep. Maybe from my undiagnosed sleep apnea. And that maybe I almost died and that I decided last minute to come back and live some more, you know. I often wondered that. And in 2017, weeks before I left the States, I almost did die in my sleep. And it wasn't like an out of body experience, it was me literally almost croaking. I have allergies all year round. I'm also allergic to dust, and so my nose is stopped up often, even when I take allergy medication. Now, with me packing and cleaning for the move back to Germany, there was a lot of dust in the air, and I, I have bad allergies, like I said. So that one night I must have fallen asleep with my mouth open in order to be able to breathe. And so I was breathing through my mouth. While I was sleeping, my mouth and throat must have dried up because I woke up from not being able to breathe at all. My nose was stopped up and my throat had closed up. I could not get any air whatsoever. I panicked. And so this must have started while I was asleep, and so my body was jolting me awake, telling me that I have a lack of oxygen. And again, I panicked because I was worried about leaving my daughter alone in this life. But I thought this was it. I panicked and I thought this is how I'm gonna go. And I sat up and my throat must have shifted a little bit because it opened up just a little bit for me to get some air in my lungs. And I slowly walked to the bathroom to use some nasal spray to open my nose back up. And I was okay after a few minutes, but damn, that was scary. I thought that night I was gonna go. And so all of these things came back to me after the conversation with my colleague from Hong Kong. It's the strangest thing. I think that I've had several exit points in my life where I almost died, but then I continued my life, or maybe I consciously decided to continue living. I'm not sure, but these experiences are so strange. And I keep running into people that have experiences like that too. And this evening, my sister and I went somewhere, and we talk about these things frequently, you know, about life after death, or what, life is all about. Where do we go when we die? Because it came up with my parents, you know, they're wondering. I mean, my father is. And so, I had never shared this experience before. I think I talked about the time when I almost died in my sleep, or not really in my sleep. I was awake, but I couldn't breathe anymore. But I've never talked about the out-of-body experience. And one more thing about that. In the movie Out on a Limb by Shirley MacLaine, when she tries to portray her out-of-body experience, there was a silver cord attached to her between her body and her ethereal, I don't know the right word, body, you know, the consciousness that lifted out of her body. And she looked down on her body, which I didn't do. I didn't see myself lying there. Some people do. And when she did, she depicted this silver cord that is attached between us and the body, you know, the consciousness and the body. And when that silver cord snaps, and I've read that before and heard it before, you're dead. And so I don't know why I did not see a silver cord when I was having my out-of-body experience in Virginia. That is so strange. But maybe it was just I was dying and my soul was like lifting out of the body. And when I looked down at the cottage, I remembered my daughter is down there and I can't go. And so I went back down. So maybe that was the reason maybe I actually would have died, or maybe it was just an out of body experience. There are so many things we don't understand, and like I said, I've been watching or listening to the Y Files. That is a channel on YouTube, and he talks a lot about these things. And so yeah, it's just strange. You get off work, you still, your mind is still at work. Did I do everything? And is there anything I need to do tomorrow? Should I write it down? And all of a sudden, I run into my colleague from Hong Kong, and we're in the middle of a conversation about out of body experiences, and being so hot in Italy that she passed out and went to the same kind of place that I went to in my very real dream, very real dream that I had before I woke up that one morning. Strange. And also, guys, I did pick up my glasses for working on computers on my monitor, seeing the font better, and it works like a charm. I love that thing. I wore it all day. Today was the first day I wore it at work because I picked it up yesterday after I had that conversation with that Chinese colleague of mine. And so yeah, I'm gonna have to hit the sack. I just remembered I had never mentioned the out of body experience before, and so I thought I'd share it with you guys. I'm gonna go now. Thank you for listening to this, and I will see you in my next one. Bye. Tschüssi and night night from Germany.